do it on the computer. Peace, love, and prosperity to the human family. This is AMPAG Media, and today we are going to cover the Protectorate Treaty between France and Morocco of 1912. And a few other items dealing with the French Protectorate. We'll be going over a relinquishment discussion between France and the ambassadors or the plenipotentiaries or consul minister of foreign affairs of France. I forgot what you call them, what they call them, Charles d'Affaires, I believe is what you call them in French. We'll be going over that document. It's going to be revealing, quite revealing. In fact, that document or that conversation between the United States and France took place in 1913, basically a year after the treaty was signed and ratified between the United States, between France and Morocco, in which established the French Protectorate. And there's a flag that represents such a treaty. We'll be touching that as well. And then also we'll be going over, finally, the final topic would be a book called The Passing of the Sherifian Empire. It's a fascinating read. And I haven't even read it fully yet. Give me 1 second, I've got oh, that's fine. We'll catch on the next one. All right, yes, and so that book, we're not gonna read through the book. We'll touch the introduction of the book and then we'll skim through a few things to showcase something. There's something that they know about us as late as, or I don't know if that's late, but during the years of 1910, I guess is really what I'm saying. During the years in which we were under the impression that we were Black, Negroes, and coloreds. This book came out in 1910. And this gentleman, his name is Bartlett, Ellis Bartlett. Not sure what his nationality is, but I'm assuming he's an Albayan. He has some interesting things to say about us as a people. So we'll be touching on that as well. Let me begin with allow me to begin with this here. Just some basic research. Just a quick Google reveals this here. French Protectorate of Morocco. The French Protectorate of Morocco, also known as French Morocco, was the French military occupation of a large part of Morocco, established in the form of a colonial regime imposed by France. And it wasn't, that's misrepresented. It wasn't imposed by France. It was in accordance with the treaty between France and Morocco. It wasn't imposed by France. While preserving the Moroccan royal regime known as the Sherrifian Empire, right? So, I mean, this is how many of y'all, other than the AMPAG nationals, how many of y'all knew of a term called Sherifian Empire? But this is what this land is known as. Moorish Empire, Sherifian Empire, Moroccan Empire. Okay, in French, under French rule. The Protectorate was officially established 30 March 1912 when Sultan Abdal Habib signed the Treaty of Fez through the French military occupation of Morocco. Though the French military occupation of Morocco had begun with the invasion of Oujda and the bombardment of Casablanca in 1907. The French Protectorate lasted until the dissolution of the Treaty of Fez on 2 March 1956. That's when the Sultan demoted himself down to become a king, and he went to go become the king of Morocco and Al-Kibulan. That was in 1956. With the Franco-Moroccan joint declaration, Morocco.
Recording in progress.
Somebody mute your mic. Somebody mute your mic, please. Thank you. Morocco's independence movement described in Moroccan historiography, some of these words, as the revolution of the king and the people restored the exile Mohammed V, but it did not end French presence in Morocco. France preserved its influence in the country, including a right to station French troops and to have a say in Morocco's foreign policy. French settlers also maintained their rights and property, etc. The French Protectorate shared territory with the Spanish Protectorate, established and dissolved in the same year. The borders were considered of the area of Morocco between the corridor of Taza and the Dra River, including sparse tribal lands, and the official capital was Rabat. So this here is the merchant ensign. So after the treaty was concluded and ratified, this was the flag that represented the French Protectorate, the Treaty of Fez. Now, as the article just pointed out, it was the treaty was dissolved in 1956. Okay. My whole time as a Moorish American, I could not find a reference point for this flag. I couldn't find another reference point for this flag other than what we see at Morocco, the kingdom. Well, this merchant ensign flag, somebody please mute your mics. So this merchant ensign flag with the French flag up at the top left corner came out in 1912. So this flag is the only reference point that I have for the existence of this Moorish flag prior to 1956, outside of seeing Prophet Noble Drew Ali flying it in 1913. Imagine that. I just thought I should make that point clear. Let's go into the treaty. Where is it? Oh, I gotta move this. Okay, French Protectorate, 1912. There we go. All right. So the Protectorate Treaty between France and Morocco was signed at Fez on March 30th, 1912. The government of the French Republic and the government of His Sherifian Majesty, desirous of inaugurating a regular regime in Morocco based upon internal order and general security, which will make it possible to introduce reforms and to ensure the economic development of the country, have agreed upon the following. When they say to ensure the economic development of the country, they're talking about Morocco. Article 1, that country being Morocco. Article 1, the government of the French Republic and His Majesty the Sultan have agreed. So therefore, France did not impose nothing on Morocco. It was agreed upon. So the government of the French Republic and His Majesty the Sultan have agreed to establish in Morocco a new regime comprising the administrative, judicial, educational, economic, financial, and military reforms which the French government may see fit, to introduce within the Moroccan territory. Right, so Article 1 automatically lets you know that France has power over the Moroccan territory. This regime shall safeguard the religious state status, the respect and traditional prestige of the Sultan, the exercise of the Mohammedan religion, and of all religious institutions, in particular those of the Habus. It shall include the organization of a reformed Sherifian Moxen, Moorish government. The government of the Republic will come to an understanding with the Spanish government regarding the interests which this government derives from its geographical position and territorial possessions on the Moroccan coast. So in 1904, Great Britain and Spain gave a loan to the Sultan. This is where, this is the time in which the empire was starting to crumble, falling into the dependencies, the financial dependencies of European states. And so they needed to get a loan in 1914. Due to that, and because they were crumbling, the attempt to maintain the sovereignty of his domains, basically, was by allowing France to have a power of attorney to protect the interest and the development of the empire, which is why it's called the French Protectorate, because the French were protecting the Sultan and the empire from it going any further into any further decay. Keeping in mind too that at the time this particular Sultan was only 22 years old, belligerent. He was just blowing money. Didn't know what to do with his power, which was diminishing. And he was 22 because his uncle passed away and he had to take the throne. You see, this is why monarchies is like, it's not sensible. However, it worked for thousands of years. So what do I know? Anyway, geographical position and territorial possessions on the Moroccan coast. In like manner, things are always in like manner. All these treaties is always saying things are in like manner. So if the United States has a state ID, then in like manner, we got a state ID, right? The United States has birth certificate. Well, in like manner, we got a birth certificate. What else you want? Like for like, what you got, we got. You got a constitution, we got a constitution. You got a flag, we got a flag. Right? This is how it works. You got a court, we got courts. That's what we have been missing in these several centuries. We've been operating based on dependency. We were dependent upon them, upon their laws, their courts, everything. Not even realizing that the system itself belonged to us in the first place. In like manner, the city of Tangier shall retain its recognized distinctive characteristic, which will determine its municipal organization. Article 2, His Majesty, the Sultan, agrees that henceforth the French government, subject to prior notification to the Moroccan, may proceed to such military occupation of the Moroccan territory as it may deem necessary for the maintenance of good order and the security of commercial transactions, and may exercise every police supervision on land and within the Moroccan waters. Let me read that again. His Majesty the Sultan agrees that henceforth the French government, subject to prior notification to the Moroccan, so that before moving like that, they still need to communicate. They still need to get at least notify the Moroccan, may proceed to such military occupation of the Moroccan territory as it may deem necessary for the maintenance of good order and the security of commercial transactions. That sounds like martial law, don't it? And may exercise every police supervision on land and within the Moroccan waters. That sounds like martial law to me. In fact, that's exactly what it is. Article 3, the government of the Republic pledges itself to lend constant support to his Sherifian Majesty against all dangers which might threaten his person or throne or endanger the tranquility of his states. So France is offering protections of all kinds and on all levels, especially the throne and the tranquility of his states, in exchange for what? For France to have authority over Moroccan territory. It's a hell of a give or take, isn't it? Because it's about give or take, right? Reciprocity. You get something, I get something. Negotiations, right? But it appears that France has, the best side of the negotiation, which rightfully so, because you need me, I don't need you, right? You know, you're the one that's decaying. Without our help, you going to hell. So I'm here to assist you, and in return, we want all this land. All right. Article 4. Such measures as the new regime of the Protectorate, that's the new regime, may require shall be established by decree upon the proposal of the French government by his Sherifian Majesty or the authorities to whom he may have delegated his power. So again, so what it says here, such measures as the new regime of the Protectorate may require shall be established by decree upon the proposal of the French government. So when the French government proposes something, then the Sherifian Majesty must oblige through a decree, right? So such measures as the new regime of the Protectorate may require shall be established by decree upon the proposal of the French government by his Sherifian Majesty or the authorities to whom he may have delegated his power. So the decree still has to come from the Sultan, right? And the French government shall or shall not approve it. The same procedure shall be observed in the matter of new regulations and of modifications of the existing regulations. Article 5, the French government shall be represented to his Sherifian Majesty by a commissioner resident general, representative of all the power of the Republic in Morocco. He's a representative of all the power of the Republic in Morocco, who shall attend to the execution of the present agreement. The commissioner resident general shall be the sole intermediary between the Sultan and foreign representatives. So the Sultan can't move or even discuss matters with foreign representatives without the commissioner resident being all up in his business. He's got to be right there. He's in the middle. So the commissioner resident general shall be the sole intermediary between the Sultan and foreign representatives and in the relations which these representatives maintain with the Moroccan government. In particular, he shall have charge of all matters relating to foreigners in the Sherifian Empire. Who does that include? In particular, so the commissioner resident general in particular shall have charge of all matters relating to foreigners in the Sherifian Empire. Who are foreigners? Who is a foreigner? Who is the biggest foreigner in the Sherifian Empire? The United States. He shall have the power to approve and promulgate on behalf of the French government all the decrees issued by his Sherifian Majesty. He shall have the power to approve and promulgate on behalf of the French government all the decrees issued by his Sherifian Majesty. Article 6. The diplomatic and consular agents of France shall be charged with the representation and protection of Moroccan subjects and interests abroad. Okay? So France, the consular agents and the diplomatic and consular agents of France are charged with representation and protection of who? Moroccan subjects. I didn't say that. That didn't come from me. The France is it's in the treaties, and France has authority over Moroccan subjects. How long have we been Moroccan subjects? Ever since we've been subjugated to the United States. But how did we know? We didn't know we were Moroccan subjects. We thought we was Negroes, Blacks, Coloreds, African Americans. The highest level of misnomers, Negro misnomers, is Moorish American. because at least calling yourself Moorish is a higher degree to that understanding or that identity, though we're not that. But that is the highest, that would be the highest status on the land as it relates to misnomered Moors. But even the Moorish American is a Moroccan subject. And we didn't even know that we were Moroccan subjects. We've always thought that the misnomer was based in Negro black colors. We've never heard nothing else other than Negroes, blacks, colors, African Americans, Indians, Latinos, Hispanics, etc. But who's ever heard the political term Moroccan subject? And this is in a whole nother treaty that's not even enforced today, which is why we didn't accede to it. It was dissolved in 1956. His Majesty the Sultan pledges himself not to conclude any act of an international nature without the previous approval of the French Republic. So the Sultan got to get permission from France to engage in diplomatic relations with other nations. So France is like their attorney. You don't say nothing unless I'm there, because you're just gonna blow it. I'm here to protect you. You called me in for protection, French Protectorate. In exchange, the land, or not even all of it, but it was a good bit of it, a great portion of it. We showed it the other day, the last class on the, in the last class, the picture that I showed on that, it showed the division between the Spanish and the French, and the British, which is the 13th. The British was the 13 colonies. And don't forget that France is Louisiana. Everything in Louisiana, New Orleans, is all French, French quarters, the French Quarter, etc. Ignatius Loyola was one of those French conquerors or whatever. They named the school after him. It's called Loyola University. Article 7, the government of the French Republic and the government of His Sherifian Majesty reserve unto themselves the right to determine by mutual agreement the basis of a financial reorganization which, while respecting the rights conferred upon bondholders of the Moroccan public loans, those public loans, that's the loans that I was referring to earlier back in 1904, shall make it possible to guarantee the commitments of the Sherifian treasury and to collect regularly the revenues of the empire. Article 8. His Sherifian Majesty declares that in future, he will refrain from contracting directly or indirectly any public or private loan. Because you keep blowing it. You'll go get a loan and then you'll default on the loan and then you'll fall into debt with this nation. And if you're in debt with the nation, then that means they own you. It's like he was dealing with the Rothschilds, wasn't it? The Rothschilds was pimping the Sultan, the young 22-year-old Sultan, to make that point clear, right? Because it makes a difference. They were taking advantage of a young Sultan that didn't know no better. And I don't know who was in his corner, what type of moxie he had around him to allow some of this stuff to go down, but he was restrained from contracting any public or private loans and from granting in any form, whatever, any concession without the authorization of the French government. They locked in with the French government. They signed the treaty, 1912, Treaty of Fez, and then finally, Article 9, here comes the instructions. The present treaty shall be submitted to the government of the French Republic for ratification, and the instrument of the said ratification shall be handed without delay to His Majesty the Sultan. In faith whereof, the undersigned has drawn up the present act and have affixed their seal thereto. Fez, March 30th, 1912, 11 Rabaya, 1330. That's our calendar. Islam, and that concludes the read for the Treaty of Fez. Are there any questions or comments in regards to this treaty? No? No questions, no comments? Not at all? Okay, we'll move on. Islam. All right, so let's talk about this document here.
Wazir.
Islam.
I just want to make a quick statement. So basically, the French Protectorate is basically like a trusteeship for the Sherifian.
For the Sultan.
Yeah. I mean, for the Sultan.
Yeah, or the Sherrifian Empire. Yeah, you did same thing. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
They needed protection from themselves, but the empire was crumbling, and it had been crumbling since the 1800s. That's one of the reasons for the Treaty of Madrid, and then the Act of Algeciras, and then the Treaty of Fez. Those three treaties were making attempts to save Morocco, because keep in mind, a segment of the population was subjugated, right? And that segment was the darker ones, the Aboriginal, indigenous, autochthonous Moroccans, not Americans. The term Aboriginal, indigenous, and autochthonous does not coincide with the term America. It just doesn't. America is a modern term, and it's a misnomer. Autochthonous, Aboriginal, indigenous, etc., that relates to Morocco. So this document here, French Protectorate in Morocco, relinquishment of extraterritorial jurisdiction by certain powers, attitude of the United States.
Before you go into that, Abdul, I had a question too. If that treaty was in place, then how come, I'm trying to see how the Americans were able to finagle their way into power with that treaty in place with France.
Your question was, how was the Americans able to do what?
Come into power with that treaty.
Remember that treaty came into existence in 1912. The United States was already in power because of the Treaty of Peace and Friendship that came in 1787 and then 1836. So really, what was that?
So really, the Treaty of Peace and Friendship pretty much null and void that treaty from the start, then, right?
It doesn't null and void the Treaty of the Treaty of Fez, because the treaty is just a separate. That's a separate agreement. The Treaty of Peace and Friendship is between the United States of America and the Sultan of Morocco. The Treaty of Fez is between France and Morocco. So those are two different parties, and treaties.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. All right.
And so the United States exists based on the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. That's how come they were able to maintain on the land, right? But they didn't have control of the whole land, because a portion of it was given to, a portion of the territory was given to Morocco, and then another portion was not to Morocco, to France, and then the other portion was controlled by Spain. By the Spanish, and then also Great Britain. So like Morocco was chopped up in pieces, but the jurisdiction and the territory that was controlled by Great Britain was the United States, or is the United States. You know, it grew from the 13 colonies. Remember. So you know, what makes this information a bit complicated for most folks, and I'm not saying that it's complicated for you. I'm just speaking in general. Is the miseducation that we have received over the years. We've never learned anything like this in school, on no level. Definitely not in kindergarten, right? Not in elementary, not in high school, not in college. I don't know. I ain't up for college. But I can assure you they didn't teach these things in college unless you had a specific major. But this should be common knowledge, especially in civics. And they don't even teach civics in class or civics classes in school. Good question, bro. But yeah, that's the reason why the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. Now you did ask did it trump all the other treaties? There is a treaty that trumps all the other treaties, including the Treaty of Fez. But the Treaty of Fez already trumped anyway. It doesn't seem relevant because it's no longer in force. But the Act of Algeciras, that one trumps all other treaties. Whenever or wherever there's a what's the word I'm looking for? Dispute based on provisions, Treaty of the Act of Algeciras shall prevail. That's in the Act of Algeciras, and all 12 powers, signatory powers, have ratified that treaty, and it's still in force. Any other questions? So this right here is the document in which, or the correspondences between, and when I touched on it briefly, and I thought that was germane for the discussion, the Wednesday class, because on Wednesdays we're going over France versus United States. So I figured we'll go over the Treaty of Fez and then a few other documents dealing with France. Because France was established, the French Protectorate was established to protect the land and protect the people, the native Moors, the Moroccan subjects. And that's highlighted in this conversation between the French ambassador to the Secretary of State. So I read that wrong, in the wrong context. So the French ambassador, this says the French ambassador to the Secretary of State. What it's saying is that this first letter or this first correspondence coming up is the French ambassador addressing the Secretary of State of the United States. Okay, so you'll see here translation, because it's been translated from French to English. French embassy, it was sent to Washington, January 8th, 1913. Mr. Secretary of State, by order of my government, I have the honor to communicate herewith to your excellency the text of the Franco-Moroccan Protectorate Treaty that was signed at Fez on March 30th, 1912. The assurances your excellency was pleased to give me heretofore as the establishment of the French Protectorate in Morocco led me to hope that the federal government will see no objection to giving its adhesion to that instrument. The French government will be glad to be so assured. Your Excellency will note that under Article 6 of the aforesaid treaty, the diplomatic and consular officers of France will be in charge of the representation and protection of Moroccan subjects and interests abroad. Did I not just read that in the Treaty of Fez? I just read it like 5 minutes ago. A limitation, however, was put upon the provisions by the Franco-Spanish Treaty of November 27, last of which I had the honor to communicate to the Department of State on the 29th of the same month. Article 23 of that treaty provides that the Moroccan subjects belonging in the zone of Spanish influence shall be placed abroad under the protection of the diplomatic and consular officers of Spain. Okay, so Moroccan subjects, that's why they're subjects, because they're under everybody else's protection but their own. That's why the Treaty of Madrid, when it says any subject of Morocco who have been naturalized in a foreign country, that's why it didn't specify the United States. It didn't specify anyone. It's just a foreign country. It could be France, it could be Spain, it could be the United States. All those jurisdictions and territories had more subjects in them. Okay, so then the Secretary of State to the French ambassador. So now here's the Secretary of State replying to the French. That reply was on January 22nd, 1913. Excellency, I have the honor to acknowledge the receipt of Your Excellency's note of the 8th instant transmitting the text of the Franco-Moroccan Protectorate Treaty signed at Fez on March 30th, 1912, and asking the adhesion of the government of the United States thereto. Following the traditional American foreign policy, see, they call themselves American, following the traditional American foreign policy, which forbids participation by the United States in the settlement of political questions, which are entirely European in their scope, the government must refrain from any expression of opinion for or against such part or parts of the Franco-Moroccan Protectorate Treaty as may be deemed of a political nature. Paragraph 1 of Article 1 of this treaty provides that the government of the French Republic and His Majesty the Sultan mutually agree to establish in Morocco such administrative, judicial, educational, economical, financial, and military reforms as the government may deem it desirable to introduce in Moroccan territory. Okay, did y'all know, you gotta notice a pattern here. Okay, let me scroll up and point out the pattern. Look at how international politicians talk and how they deal with each other. Okay? Your Excellency will note that under Article 6 of the aforesaid treaty, the diplomatic and consular officers of France will be in, let me go back, quote, because this was a quote. The diplomatic and consular officers of France will be in charge of the representation and protection of Moroccan subjects and interests abroad. He's quoting Article 6 of the Treaty of Fez. Over here, the Al-Bayan is quoting back the treaty, where it says paragraph 1 of Article 1 of this treaty provides that the government of the French Republic and His Majesty the Sultan mutually agree to it. So I guess what I'm trying to point out is this is how you get down internationally. You invoke treaties. You point out treaty provisions that are beneficial to you and against whoever your argument is with, your contention is with. You know, this is what needs to be, this is the language that goes on your judicial orders. You don't write writs and affidavits. Competent Moorish state governments write judicial orders. It's called ministerial decrees, judgments, orders, and opinions. That's the next level up, way up. This is supreme operations. This is supreme activity, not writs and affidavits invoking US laws, judicial orders, judgments, and opinions invoking international law, treaty protections, etc. And you see an example here. Paragraph 1 of Article 1 of this treaty provides that the government of the French Republic and His Majesty the Sultan mutually agree to establish in Morocco such administrative, judicial, and I just read this stuff. That's why I read it first before going into this, because I already read this and I knew they were invoking the Treaty of Fez. So I said, let me read the Treaty of Fez, put that on the record. Now let's read this that came out the very next year. You see? And further, paragraph 2, Article 5, so he's still invoking more and more articles. Article 5 provides that the French commissioner resident shall be the sole intermediary of the Sultan in all foreign relations. We just went over that, and he's pointing it out. By the terms of Article 1, the government of the French Republic practically assumes all the powers of government in Morocco. This is what excuse me, this is what our tenants had to say about to the French. The French Republic practically assumes all the powers of government in Morocco. And as a natural corollary thereto, it assumes also the obligations of the Moroccan government. It assumes the obligations of the Moroccan government in its relations with foreign governments, because the Moroccans are not in the building. They're asleep. They're not in their seats. And so therefore the French have to operate and has the obligations to operate the Moroccan government and its relations with foreign governments insofar as existing treaty rights between Morocco and foreign governments are concerned, right? So any treaty between Morocco and any other government, because of the Treaty of Fez, France takes over the authority. That's why they had authority over the United States, because the United States draws its authority from the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, which is between the United States and Morocco. So again, any treaty that's between Morocco and any other state, foreign power, France has authority over the matter. That's why France has authority over the United States. And that's what they pointed out. All right. Where was that?
I missed something. I missed something. I don't know if you went down or if I went down, but you don't have to go all the way back. But that last part where you said that France has, I don't know, I lost my train of thought. But what did you just say?
I said a lot. Not sure. I was saying that okay. What I was saying is that any treaty that Morocco is in with any other foreign power, France has authority over the matter, because France has taken over the authority of, as a power of attorney in protection of Morocco. So any foreign relations with any other state that was a signatory power with Morocco, France deals with the matter on behalf of Morocco. So therefore, in this case, France has authority to deal with the United States on behalf of the Sultan.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah. Insofar as existing government are concerned. Okay, as Your Excellency is aware, adhesion on the part of the government of the United States to any treaty under our Constitution can only be given by and with the advice and consent of the United States Senate, and after careful consideration of the Franco-Moroccan Protectorate Treaty. This government is of the opinion that it is not sufficiently detailed and concrete in its provisions to permit of submission to this country's treaty-making power. Provided, however, the government of the French Republic is willing to give its assurance that American interests and rights in Morocco, as are at present safeguarded by existing treaties, Treaty of Peace and Friendship. Let's repeat that again. Provided, however, the government of the French Republic is willing to give its assurance that the American interests and rights in Morocco, as are at present, safeguarded by existing treaties. And how was it at present? Well, this was in 1913. At that present, it wasn't too nice for us. And they wanted to maintain it that way, is what they're saying to the French. Can we at least maintain our interests and rights in Morocco as according to the treaty at present, just as the way it is as it is, right? By existing treaties, shall continue to receive the same consideration in the future as they have been entitled to and have enjoyed in the past on such an understanding the government of the United States would be inclined to view with favor the reforms which the French Protectorate contemplate introducing into Morocco as provided for the treaty in question. You see that? So here comes the French Charge d'Affaires to the Secretary of State. Now, this is on October 7th, 1913. Mr. Secretary of State, by order of my government, I have the honor to forward herewith to your excellency 2 copies of the official bulletin of the Morocco Protectorate promulgating the new judiciary system in the French zone of the Sherifian Empire, together with so now let's just keep in mind again, they're communicating with the United States. If the United States wasn't in Morocco, then what's the point in them communicating with the United States? The United States is in Morocco. Bulletin of the Moroccan Protectorate promulgating the new judiciary system in the French zone of the Sherifian Empire, together with a copy of the Journal Officiel of the French Republic of September 1913, September 9th, 1913, which also contains the decree relating to that organization. The new judiciary system, instituted by virtue of the provisions in paragraph 2 of Article 9 of the Franco-German Treaty of November 4th, 1911. See, now they don't switched over into the Franco-German Treaty. They keep just going back and forth talking about treaties. This is what international jurists deal with, treaties, because treaties is the supreme law of the land. I'm going to leave the Europeans here long enough to show you how to run government. This is how you run government, by understanding treaties, enforcing treaties, working with treaties, and other international constructive agreements. The new judiciary system, instituted by virtue of the provisions in paragraph 2 of Article 9 of the Franco-German Treaty of November 4th, 1911, is intended to supersede the French consular courts on and after October 15th, 1913. In accordance with the provisions of the aforesaid article, I have been instructed to ask the federal government to place its citizens under the new jurisdiction. I shall hasten to forward to my government the reply your excellency will be so good as to return to me on the subject. Okay? So then here comes the acting Secretary of State to the French ambassador, February 13, 1914. Excellency, the department, now I want you to, this one here, this correspondence. Good. Okay. I'm back. Without any further delay, the department has the honor to make reply to the embassy's notes of August 29, September 14, October 7, and January 7. Last relative to the establishment of the French Protectorate in Morocco and the revision of the list of American proteges in that country. The American proteges in that country. In the first note above mentioned, the department isn't the department. Okay, where was I? In the first note above mentioned, the department is informed in relation to the establishment of the French Protectorate that, owing to the inadequacy of the means theretofore employed to prevent the smuggling of arms and munitions of war into Morocco, General Laute had decided to declare martial law within the zone in Morocco in the matter of contraband of arms. In the informal note of September 14, Mr. Peretti, who was then acting as charge d'affaires at interim, made known the wish of this government that this government would give instructions to its representative at Tangier, looking to the designation of a delegate to assist in the revision of the protection list of people lying under the American jurisdiction, a delegate to assist in the revision of the protection list of people lying under the American jurisdictions as Moorish subjects. Let me make sure I'm in the right place. Okay, yeah, I am. Okay. Mr. Peretti added that it was not possible to accept the reserve of the United States relative to the right of foreign representatives to act in the last resort upon the decision of the Moxen. In regard to the natives in regards to the natives, you ain't gonna just gloss over that word, who should enjoy the protection of a foreign government. With this note of October 7, Mr. Peretti transmitted to the department copies of the official bulletin of the Morocco Protectorate promulgating the new judiciary system in the French zone of the Sherrifian Empire. Mr. Peretti called attention to the fact that the new judiciary system was intended to supersede the French consular court on and after October 15, 1913, and under instructions asked this government to place its citizens under the new jurisdiction. Did I just read all this? It feels like I read all this. Finally, with your note of the 7th, no, I didn't. Finally, with your note of the 7th of January last, you transmitted to the departmental list of errata in the Bulletin Officiel and requested that the new French courts in Morocco be recognized at the earliest possible date. Turning first to the subject of the revision of the protege list mentioned in Mr. Peretti's note of September 14th, it is proper to state that the protection of native Moors in Morocco, I repeat, turning first to the subject of the revision of the proteges list mentioned in Mr. Peretti's note of September 14th, it is proper to state that the protection of native Moors in Morocco by this government rests upon its treaty with Morocco of 1836 and the Madrid Convention of 1880. Y'all didn't hear me. It is proper to state that the protection of native Moors in Morocco by this government, what government? The United States, rests upon its treaty with Morocco of 1836. What treaty is that? The Treaty of Peace and Friendship. And the Madrid Convention of 1880 was that, the Treaty of Madrid of 1880, the right of protection in Morocco. The relevant part of the Treaty of 1836 is found in Article 15, which reads as follows. Merchants of both countries shall employ only such interpreters and such other persons to assist them in their business as they shall think proper. The Convention of 1880 declares in Article 1 that the protection of native Moors is based on the British and Spanish treaties with Morocco and on the Convention of 1863 between France, Morocco, and other powers, with the modification introduced by the present convention and stipulates in Article 16 that the authorities of Morocco will recognize no protection of any kind whatever, save such as is expressly provided for in this conversation. After a careful examination of the several articles of the Madrid Convention relative to the protection of American proteges, so they go back and forth, native Moroccans and natives of Morocco, native Moors, American proteges, they keep going back and forth. Hold on a second. Let me bring this up. Am I recording? Okay. This is weird. Let me see. I'm trying to fix this. It's not how I wanted it to be. Okay. I was trying to make it. All right. Okay. What was that? Okay. Yeah. So they keep calling us all these different terms, right? Interchangeable terms. Now it's American. Now he's saying American proteges. After a careful examination of the several articles of the Madrid Convention relative to the protection of American proteges, the department is unable to reach the conclusion that the Moorish government, this is the Albayons, the Secretary of State for the United States talking, is unable to reach the conclusion that the Moorish government enjoys the right ultimately to decide upon the persons who may become proteges of this government. So the Moorish government has the authority to give them Moorish proteges for that government. Sounds like sellouts, doesn't it? On the contrary, Article 2 of the convention provides that foreign representatives at the head of a legation may select their interpreters and employees from among the subjects of Morocco. So now they call us subjects of Morocco. So it was native Moors, American proteges, Moorish governments, subjects of Morocco, or others. And Article 3 provides that consular officers shall be allowed to select their employees. By Article 5 of the same convention, the government of Morocco recognizes the right of ministers, chargés d'affaires, and other representatives, which is granted to them by treaties to select the persons whom they employ. In regard to the lists of protected persons, the convention is equally precise as appears by Articles 7 and 8, which read as follows. You see? I mean, they good at it now. They will throw a treaty provision on you. And by the way, y'all keep an eye out for whoever, because I'm reading, so keep an eye out for any foreign names that we don't recognize, so I can go in and remove them. Foreign representatives shall inform the Sultan's Minister of Foreign Affairs, foreign representatives. That would be the United States, that would be France, that would be Germany, that would be whoever, shall inform the Sultan's Minister of Foreign Affairs in writing of any selections of any employee made by them. They shall furnish annually the said minister a list of the names of the persons protected by them or by their agents throughout the states of the Sultan of Morocco. This list shall be transmitted to the local authorities, who shall consider as persons enjoying protection only those whose names are contained therein. All right, so the only people that got the protection is those with the names on that list. Article 8, consular officers shall transmit each year to the authorities of the district in which they reside a list bearing their seal of the persons protected by them. These authorities shall transmit it to the Minister of Foreign Affairs to the end that if it be not comfortable to the regulations, the representatives at Tangiers may be informed of the fact. A consular officer shall be required to give immediate information of any changes that may have taken place among the persons protected by his consulate. So they have to give a list, right? As a consular officer shall be required to give immediate information of any changes that may have taken place. Example, we've got a protected national of Morocco judicial order, a protected nationals list from Morocco from AMPAG that we'll be sending to the colonizers. So we'll be sending them a list of our protected nationals. So all the nationals in our state will be on this list. Their name, meaning their strawman, social security and date of birth. Down the line. Remember, in like manner, that's what it was. That's what the treaty said. So all the treaties say that, in like manner. So in like manner, we're going to request for them to send us a list. Guess what list they're going to be sending us back? Not a whole list of protected nationals and all their Negroes. No. We don't need all that. That same list that we sent you, we need you to send us that list back as proof on the record that you have taken them off your list and they're no longer citizens and subjects in your jurisdiction. See how that works? So we'll be sending them a list of our nationals that are protected, and then we'll be requesting a list from them, from those same nationals, showing and proving from their state that they're no longer under their jurisdiction. That's the game with these lists, according to Article 7 and 8. Regarding the appointment of proteges for signal services, the convention provides Article 16 that the Minister of Foreign Affairs at Tangier shall be previously informed of the nature of the services and notified of the intention to award them in order that he may, if need be, present his observations thereon, yet the final decision shall be reserved for the government to which the service shall have been rendered. Concerning the protection of the native employees of private persons, the Treaty of 1836 appears to contain no stipulation. But in Article 9 and 10 of the convention, so they're going through checking treaties. What applies?
Hey, brother? Oh, pretty good. You're busy tonight, huh? Man. And you got another truck coming, right? Yeah. See?
Isaac, you on mute? Put yourself on mute.
Huh? No, empty, no empties. Yeah. I'll give you a break.
Isaac, put yourself on mute.
Oh, sorry about that.
All right. At least that wasn't one of these troglodytes. All right.
Islam. Who is Joel?
Islam. I was here last Sunday. That's when we were speaking about Islam brothers. The brother, his iPhone.
Okay. Islam.
Yeah.
Islam, good brother. No, we had some problems with some weirdos jumping in here trying to interrupt the class or the session. So you notice that they keep invoking treaties, treaty provisions and articles. They're bringing them up. Look at that. They brought up this. We're still dealing with the Secretary of State of the United States. More than likely an Albayan, a European, right? Look at all the, they keep bringing up treaties. Here, Article 7, Article 8, the Treaty of Madrid. Now you're talking about Article 16. Now they're on Article 9 of the Convention of 1880. That's the Treaty of Madrid. Servants, farmers, and other native employees of native secretaries and interpreters shall not enjoy protection. The same shall be the case with Moorish employees or servants of foreign subjects. Nevertheless, the local authorities shall not arrest an employee or servant of a native officer in the service of a legation or consulate, or of a foreign subject or protected person, without having notified the authority upon which he is dependent. Excuse me. If a subject of Morocco in the service of a foreign subject shall kill or wound any person, if a subject of Morocco, right, Moors, or violate his domicile, he shall be arrested immediately, but the diplomatic or consular authority under which he is shall be notified without delay. That's your consular access notification, right? So just like then, that's how it's supposed to work. That's why, see, when the prophet said that we should not be in their courtrooms, this is what he's talking about. No matter what you did, they're supposed to notify your consul without delay, your consular authority, and they come get you. Article 10, you can't tell me that the prophet wasn't reading these treaties. Article 10, nothing is changed with regard to the situation of brokers as established by the treaties and by the Convention of 1863, except what is stipulated relative to taxes in the following articles. Inasmuch as the Madrid Convention refers in Article 1 to the Convention of Article 1863 between France and Morocco and the powers, regarding the protection of native Moors. Man, how many times I gotta read this? I don't know how many times I said the word protection of native Moors, protection of native Moors, protection of American proteges, protection of Moorish subjects. Like, are we children that we need protection? We can handle our own affairs? Why we need protection from everybody else, man? Why? Why do we need protection from everybody else? So here we need France, Morocco, and other powers regarding the protection of English Moors. And to the benefit, do I need to remove somebody? What was that? Okay. All right, let me see. I hate that this page won't show the way I need it to show. I'm sorry, let me get out of this. Let me get back to where I was. All right, so it says the provision of the Convention of 1863 appears to be substantially the same as the regulation relative to the protection adopted by common consent by the legation of France and the government of Morocco, August 19, 1863, reprinted in Treaties in Force, 1904, at the end of the Madrid Convention. The regulations are in part as follows. Protected persons are divided into two classes. The first class comprises native employed by the legation and by the various French consular officers. The second class consists of native factors, brokers, or agents employed by French merchants for their business affairs. French protection is not extended to native employed by French citizens in agricultural occupations. It is moreover understood that agricultural laborers, herdsmen, or other native peasants in the service of French citizens shall not be legally prosecuted without immediate information thereof being communicated to the competent consular officer in order that the latter may protect the interest of his countrymen. The list of all protected persons shall be delivered by the proper consulate to the competent magistrate of the place, who shall likewise be informed of any changes that may subsequently be made in the said list. Each protected person shall be furnished with a card. See, look at that. Each protected person shall be furnished with a card in French and in Arabic, mentioning his name and stating the services which secure this privilege to him. All these cards shall be issued by the legation of France at Tangier. The British and Spanish treaties mentioned in Article 1 of the Madrid Convention are presumably the General Treaty of December 9, 1856 between Great Britain and Morocco, and the Treaty of Commerce and Navigation of November 20, 1861 between Spain and Morocco. In the British treaty, it is specifically provided that the charge d'affaires and the consular officers of Great Britain shall be at liberty to choose their own employees, and that British subjects shall be, so like you get to choose your own employees, which we're talking about native employees, and that British subjects shall be free to commit their affairs to the management of any persons whom they may appoint as their broker, factor, or agent, nor, says the treaty, shall such British subjects be restrained in their voice, or should I say in their choice, of persons to act in such capacities. The Spanish treaty provides that the charge d'affaires or consul general may choose his interpreters and servants from amongst the Muslim subjects. So now it's Muslim. They got all types of names for us, but these are the correct terms, right? Muslim. So internationally, it's Muslim. It's Moorish subjects. It's American proteges. It's, I just went through several of them, But then within the United States, there are Negroes, blacks, coloreds. Oh, they got us in all types of trick bags. All right, so the Muslim subjects are amongst those of any other country, that other consular officers may name employees either Muslims or subjects of another country, and that Spanish merchants may put their affairs into the hands of brokers or agents appointed by themselves, and they shall not be interfered with, nor shall obstacles be raised to the free choice of the persons to fulfill this charge. It would therefore seem that the choice of the proteges of the United States in Morocco rests by right of treaty, ultimately with this government. Such appears to be the view which This department has always taken of the Convention of 1880, and which has been the basis of its action in carrying out the provisions of that convention. The question of the choice of protege is, however, in the view of this government, but a phase of the larger question involved in the establishment of French and Spanish control over separate portions of Morocco. On the subject of the French Protectorate, this government has heretofore expressed itself as being in favor of the reforms which France contemplated introducing into Morocco in accordance with the stipulations of the Franco-Moroccan Treaty of March 30th, 1912, on the understanding that provisions be made for the preservation of American interests and rights in Morocco, commercial or otherwise, which are at present safeguarded by existing treaties with that country, Treaty of Peace and Friendship, etc. The more important of those interests and rights it is proper now to enumerate. In the first place, attention may be drawn to the right of aliens to hold land in the Sherifian Empire. Well, who are aliens? United States. This right appears now to be based upon the provisions of the Madrid Convention and the Algeciras Act, with a view to carry out Article 60 of the Algeciras Act. The Sultan's foreign minister on December 5th, 1912, sent to the diplomatic corps at Tangier a set of regulations classifying the public domain of the empire and defining inalienable property and inalienable property. These regulations also laid down certain rules to govern the sale of the latter class of property to foreigners. It is understood that these regulations are not entirely consistent with the provisions on the subject of land ownership in the Act of Algeciras and the Convention of Madrid. Under Article 11 of the Madrid Convention, the right of all foreigners, quote unquote, all foreigners to quote unquote hold property anywhere within the empire is recognized, but quote unquote, the purchase of property must take place with the previous consent of the government. What government? Moorish governments. So before you could even buy any kind of property or land, you need to get permission. By Article 60 of the Act of Algeciras Act, this right was confirmed. And it was further provided that within a radius of 10 kilometers around the open ports and within 2 kilometers around certain other towns, land might be acquired by foreigners without the previous consent of the Moorish government. Might be acquired by foreigners without the previous consent of the Moorish government. Moorish government, not Moorish temples or Moorish websites or Moorish organizations or Moorish associations or Moorish clubs or Moorish nothing else but Moorish governments. Take your seat in the affairs of men. What seat? Government seats. The proposed regulations define inalienable property to include gish, quote unquote, gish, lands, the seashores, habus, or mosque properties, tribal lands, forest land, desert, uncultivated, or ownerless lands, or bearing land, and escheated property. The department is advised that practically all of the land within the 10-kilometer zones, especially at Tangier, is either gish land or seashore. Consequently, there would appear to be little or no land lying within the 10-kilometer zones, which may be subject to private ownership without the consent of the Moorish government. Without the consent of the Moorish government. Moreover, while in one paragraph, the regulation recognized the fact that under Article 60 of the Act of Algeciras, no authorization is necessary for the sale of land within certain zones. In the next paragraph, the regulation provides that the Qadi will approve no sale made to a foreigner unless the authorization according to the regulations has been granted by the Moxen. The Qadi will approve no sale made to a foreigner unless the authorization according to the regulations has been granted by the Moxen. What is Moxen? State or government in Moroccan Arabic. It would seem, therefore, that if the regulations are correctly understood, an interpretation has been given to Article 60, which its terms would not ordinarily bear. By the same regulations, the Moroccan government reserves the right to annul or to revise any deeds of so-called inalienable property, which may have been given prior to the date of the regulations. The department is advised that much of the Gish and seashore property, as well as other lands situated within the zones above mentioned, has long been held by private individuals under deeds legally obtained with the authorization of the responsible agents of the Moxen. In view of this circumstance, it is difficult to believe that it is the intention of the Moroccan government to consider these regulations as retroactive in their operation and as thereby divesting or giving opportunity to divest rights in land legally acquired and officially confirmed by the Moxen agents. I mean, I still haven't read Moorish American nowhere. I haven't read Indian, none of these terms. In fact, I read terms that I've never heard before. Moxen, Moroccan government, Moorish governments, Sherifian authorities, consular jurisdiction. I'm not used to these terms. 7 years in the movement, I'm not used to those terms. Never heard those terms. Is that by design? Of course it is. The proposed regulations, as understood by the department, further provide in effect that no transfer of land will be authorized until the different Moorish intermediaries have stated that no government rights are infringed. This provision probably has in view the carrying out of that part of Article 60 of the Algeciras Act, which stipulates that before authorizing the execution of deeds, transferring property, the Qadi will have to satisfy himself of the validity of the title in conformity to the Mohammedan law. We got 3 Qadis: Tari, Ra'el, and Marius. Before authorizing the execution of deeds, transferring property, the Qadi, C-A-D-I.
Man, you ain't finna keep torturing my name out here.
My bad, bro. What you?
Mar, like Marcus, Mar.
That's what I just said, didn't I?
You didn't. You said Mayor, Mary. You called me Mary, man. All right, go ahead. My bad.
What's your middle name?
Dial.
Dial. So our third Qadi is Dial.
All right, bro.
Morius.
There we go.
All right. It's not spelled that way though, good brother. That's why I spelled the way I see it in my head. I'll repeat it the way I see it in my head. I see it as Mar, man. I'm sorry.
About the planet. What about the planet? Mars.
Well, that's what I said, Marius. But I'm saying Marius.
Yeah, you just said Mary. Somebody else chime in, help me out.
Okay, all right, I'm gonna keep that in mind, man.
Oh, bro,
Marius, Mars. Okay, that's a good one. Mars, Marius. Okay, all right. Morocco. Okay, fair enough.
There we go. See.
All right, this one. My bad. I'm sorry. I've been killing your name since day one. All right. And I'm usually good with names. Before authorizing the execution of deeds transferring property, the Qadi will have to satisfy himself of the validity of the title and conformity to the Mohammedan law. The department is, however, advised that the records of land titles in Morocco are very incomplete. And that this provision of the regulation may be used to delay indefinitely transfers of property in which the Moorish government has in fact no legal or equitable rights. I don't know how many times I've read the term Moorish government. Is that not enough of a hint to say, because if they keep repeating over and over the terms Moorish government, and we don't have one today, what does it mean? What does that mean? Because I mean, we don't have no Moorish governments, or at least not in the past 100 years. We had the first one came online in 2021. Yeah, we had a few others that came here and there, but they're not doing that. They're registered under secretaries of states. They're corporations. We're talking about, when you talk about Moorish governments, we're talking about autonomous, totally separate, sovereign, and independent with the authority over the United States. No other way. There is no other way. There is no registering with no department or agency of the United States. Incorporating, utilizing any of their structures, 501c3, 805, it doesn't matter. All of it is subjugative processes. The goal is to get away from America. It's all done through Moorish governments. As further restriction upon the right of land ownership, it is reported that notwithstanding the provisions of Article 60 of the Algeciras Act respecting the acquisition of land within stated zones around the open ports and certain other ports, the Sultan about a year ago issued 2 decrees imposing military servitude upon land situated within a radius of 250 meters around towns and fortified quarters within certain enumerated districts. It appears that certain habus or mosque properties are alleged to have been irregularly disposed of in the past to persons subject to foreign jurisdiction, who hold these properties either without regular title thereto or by virtue of doubtful contracts. The Algeciras Conference took formal note of this situation, and by Article 63 of the Algeciras Act, charged the diplomatic body at Tangier to solve these questions equitably in accord with the special commissioner whom his Sherifian Majesty may be pleased to designate to that effect. Time is it? Okay, not like this stipulation does not appear to have been carried out. On the contrary, the department is informed that the Sultan has communicated to the diplomatic corps a circular proposing measures for the recovery of such properties. In these circumstances, it would seem that titles to land already acquired and the right to make acquisition in the future are being called into question and placed on an uncertain basis. This government is therefore desirous of some assurance that the vested rights of its citizens and proteges in property in Morocco will be respected, and to that end will be promptly confirmed by the Moroccan government, in that existing treaty rights respecting the purchase and sale of land within the empire will be protected and preserved. In the second place, the department ventures to mention the subject of trade discriminations practiced by authorities in Morocco. Complaints, apparently well-founded, have reached this government that customs duties have been imposed arbitrarily and without uniformity, that unreasonable export duties or surcharges have been collected, and that free and open competition and bidding for the construction of public works. JB went over that in class 70 or 71, or probably both, dealing with the bidding from other nationals, people of other nationalities, competing and bidding for the construction of public works, or the furnishing of supplies for the government have been denied. It is reported that customs duties on the imports of the vacuum oil company vary for different ports of entry and for different countries of origin, thus in practical effect working a discrimination between importers at the same or different ports. For example, it is stated that in the recent past, the customs duty has varied from 5.5 francs, or should I say 550 francs, to 650 or 7 francs. 5.5 francs to 6.5 or 7 francs per case. The department is also informed that in 1911, exporters of olive oil in barrels from Mogador, Morocco to New York were arbitrarily made to pay 14% surcharge as tare on the barrels, regardless of the offer and desire of the exporter or his agent to empty a sample barrel for the purpose of determining the exact tare for the shipment. It is understood that Articles 105 to 110, inclusive of the Algeciras Act, require free and open competition without preference, that is true, without preference of nationality in bidding on proposals for public works and supplies for the Moroccan government. That's in Article 105. The department is advised, however, that specific proposals are not always prepared so that real competition is possible. It is stated, for example, that the specifications do not always disclose the rate of duty on materials, machinery, and tools, so that distant bidders unacquainted with local conditions are placed at a great disadvantage in formulating bids. It is understood also that the opportunity of foreign contractors to take part in competitive bidding is minimized by the method of dividing large government contracts into allotments too small to attract any but nearby contractors. As the main purpose of the United States in participating in the Algeciras Conference and in the adoption of the act resulting therefrom was to preserve and increase its commerce in Morocco. So that was the purpose in joining the Act of Algeciras, was to increase its commerce in Morocco. This government desires equal opportunities for American commercial interest, not only to maintain their present standing in Morocco, but also to share in the country's commercial development. In the third place, the department is advised that a commission composed entirely of French nationals has been appointed for the liquidation of outstanding claims against the Moroccan. Notice of this commission and of the date for presentation of claims has been communicated to this government and to American citizens and proteges in Morocco. The department is not at present advised as to the exact amount of the claims so far presented, but it is believed that the sum approximates $150,000. It is also understood that certain, I think that says rewards made by the claims commissions, which sat in 1910 for the purpose of considering the claims of aliens against the Moroccan, have not as yet been fully paid. This government, therefore, is desirous that the awards of the Commission of 1910 be duly paid to the American claimants, and that some assurance be given that the awards of the present Commission will be paid within a certain reasonable period. Finally, it is perhaps proper to mention the case of Jacob Benatul, an American citizen who has for some years been engaged in litigation before the Moorish courts in the manner provided in the Treaty of Madrid. in an effort to secure the restoration of a strip of land said to have been arbitrarily taken and used for a highway. It appears that the property of Benatul bordered on a roadway and that certain persons of foreign nationality, including Frenchmen and Spaniards, who owned land on the opposite side of the road, erected buildings beyond their property lines and thereby caused the roadway to encroach upon the land owned by Benatul. In the course of the litigation, Benatul obtained a judgment in his favor by the Shura, which on appeal, as provided by the treaty, or as provided by treaty, was confirmed by the Sultan's foreign minister. Thereupon, the Consul General of the United States, according to customs, requested the Moorish authorities, to enforce the judgment, but they never acceded to the request. The only legal course then open to the American claimant was for him to sue upon the judgment of the consular courts of France, Spain, and other countries whose nationals were concerned. It is doubtful whether such a course would have proved effective, inasmuch as it is understood that the defendants would, in the event of a decision adverse to themselves, have had the right to appeal to the superior home courts of their respective countries. As the expense involved in such proceedings was prohibitive to the American claimant, the department has long desired that this case, which has been a source of misunderstanding in diplomatic correspondence for many years, should be disposed of by a settlement between the two governments. The foregoing statements covers the more important matters under discussion between the government and that of Morocco. There are other matters which have given rise to diplomatic correspondence, but they may be reserved for future discussion if need be. The present review embraces matters that touch the maintenance of American commercial interests in Morocco and the protection of the liberty and property of American citizens and proteges in that country, and it is for the purpose of removing any points of controversy in these particulars, and bringing about an adjustment of them, that this government, animated with a favorable disposition toward the reforms which the French Protectorate is designed to assure, has addressed itself to an exposition of the questions as to which it desired to reach a definite understanding and settlement as a preliminary to or incident of the recognition in due and proper form of the fundamental change involved in the establishment of a foreign governmental regime, where in the Sherifian Empire. That was a long one. In conclusion, it may be proper to call attention to the situation of the American missionaries in Morocco. These missionaries have for years labored in this field, including the districts inhabited by the Berber tribes. And as the department is advised, have maintained continue to maintain friendly and manually satisfactory relations with the authorities of the country. They have expressed themselves as most appreciative of the courteous and kind treatment accorded to them by the French officials in Morocco. This government, therefore, ventures to express the earnest hope that in any reorganization of the government of the empire, which may become contemplated or in progress, the rights and privileges of these missionaries may be carefully safeguarded and every facility be granted them for the prosecution of their worthy and benevolent task. J.B. Moore. That was a long one. So J.B. Moore was talking to France the whole time. So it was the United States talking to France, right? Let me see, what time is it? because I really want to get to the other one, and I'm not. This one is pretty long. So then the next one is the French ambassador, right? The French ambassador to the Secretary of State. So now here comes the French, the Frenchman. Mr. Secretary of State, referring to the oral communications by which I've made known to the Department of State the views of my government in respect to the remarks contained in Your Excellency's note of February 13 last about Morocco, I have the honor in compliance with instructions I have received to remind you of the high value we should attach to the United States government's relinquishment or relinquishing, together with its consular courts, its extraterritorial privileges in the French zone of the Sherrifian Empire. Your Excellency's note above mentioned held out the prospect that the United States would accede to our request and record its accessions in due and proper form, but pointed out a certain number of topics as to which favorable assurances were requested. As to the matter of form, my government wishes me to submit to Your Excellency the enclosed draft of declaration, which in its opinion fits the situation that is to be cleared. I am told that the declaration has already been signed by the Russian and Spanish governments and that other adhesions are forthcoming. As to the several points mentioned in Your Excellency's note, I may, as I have already done by word of mouth, assure you that the government of the Republic is quite ready to settle in the most friendly spirit the questions of interest to the United States in Morocco that may still be pending. So there, this is diplomatic is what I'm looking for. Diplomatic, I forgot the term, relations. There we go. He said peacefully. So you had a request. What was the United States request? Can we not shake the book too bad? We still want to maintain some kind of authority over these Negroes. Obviously, they didn't say that though. They said everything, but they said Moorish subjects. They said everything. They said American proteges. They say Muslim subjects. This was the United States talking. They even called out our governments, Moorish governments, Sharifian authorities. These people know they know what it is. Among these, that of the proteges naturally ceases to be of any practical importance to the powers that agreed to recognize our new courts, the tertib tax being besides already paid by foreigners. As to the right of aliens to own real estate, it has not been restricted by any Sharifian regulations. All that has been done was to take a few urgent measures having relations to strategy or prompted by the necessity of checking speculation in land intended for public use. The complaint of the vacuum oil company against the customs treatment according to its products had not been brought by the party concerned or the representative of its country to the notice of my government, which deems it its duty in this respect to recall that the treaties in force guarantee equal fiscal treatment to all the powers, and that they may be sure that nothing will be overlooked to let their nationals enjoy the full benefits of those advantages. My government indulges the hope that under the conditions I have just brought to mind, and in view of its firm intentions to examine and settle in an entirely friendly way the few questions yet unsettled in which American citizens are interested, Your Excellency will kindly coincide in the views I have just had the honor to submit to you. Your acceptance of these propositions would be particularly gratifying to the government of the Republic, which would take it as fresh evidence of the traditional friendship existing between our two countries. All right, and then that's the end from the French. And I'm not going to read the rest of it. I want to get to the other one. It says here, enclosure translation declaration. The undersigned duly authorized by their representative governments made in common accord the following declaration. Taking into consideration the guarantees of judicial equality offered to foreigners by the French courts of the Protectorate, the government of the United States relinquished all claims for its consuls, persons subject to its jurisdiction, and its establishment to any right or privilege derived from the regime of the capitulations, the treaties and conventions of every nature in force between France and the United States, cover as of right, unless otherwise stipulated, the French zone in the Sherifian Empire. This declaration will go into effect 10 days after its date, done in duplicate at such and such. So then the secretary come back. The Secretary of State is now responding back to the French ambassador, April 30th, 1914. Excellency, I have the honor to inform your excellency that the department is in receipt of a telegram from the American Chargé d'Affaires at Tangier, stating that the French diplomatic agent in that city, in the name of the French resident general, had requested of him a memorandum of pending and unsettled claims, understanding that this government would not be favorably inclined to recognize the French protectorate until those cases were satisfactorily disposed of. The American legation at Tangier has been instructed to submit to the proper French authorities a memorandum of all pending American claims in Morocco. And I beg to assure your excellency that a satisfactory solution of these cases would greatly aid this government in replying to your note of January 8th, 1913, containing the request of your government for the formal recognition of the French protectorate in Morocco. All right, and that was the Secretary of State. So now the French ambassador to the Secretary of State, and they just keep going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And there's more germane information here, but I really want to get to I want to get to the passing of the Sherifian Empire. It's almost 9:30, and we close out at 10 or maybe even sooner. I really should be closing at 9 and giving people an opportunity for Q&A. But let me allow me to go through. Where is it at? Oh, I don't know where it is. Still getting used to this freaking computer. All right, let me see. Where is it at? So much stuff in the way. A lot of stuff in the way. Let me pull back up the internet. Where is it? Oh, yep, that is it. All right, so let's I had downloaded it. French Protectorate. Where is the passing of the Sherifian Empire? Yeah, I do with it. Security, French Protectorate, French Protectorate. Where did I put it? Okay, I'll tell you what I'll do. Is it? Yeah, this is it. Okay. This is the passing of the Sherifian Empire. Whoever knew this book even existed? I didn't download it. It's still in my internet. I mean, in my email. Keeping in mind that I'm using a separate computer because my other computer sucks with the internet. So I'm using this one and I haven't had a chance to transfer everything over. So I'm kind of like working with what I got. So it's the passing of the Sherifian Empire. You can't really tell who this person is, or at least his facial features, but his name is Sultan Moulay Il Hafid, right? His name is, he's an Il. So the passing of the Sherifian Empire by E. Ashmead Bartlett Ellis Bartlett, that's his name. And the book came out in 1910. So Prophet Noble Ali was walking the earth at that time. So you're not going to tell me that he knew about what took place in Morocco during that time and the Prophet did not. As a matter of fact, I can make the point that he probably knew Sultan Abdulaziz pretty well. I'll show you why in a second. This book, so I'm gonna just read over real quick the preface. It's only like 4 pages, but it says a lot. This book is intended as a record of events in Morocco during the past 2 years as they have come under my personal observation. This period has been perhaps the most momentous and critical in the history of the country, and from it will surely date the decline of Morocco's independence. It was present during the early part of the French campaign in the Chawaye, whatever, and was one of the very first to go to Fez and to meet Moulay El Habib after his successful advance on the capital from Morocco City. I lived for some months on most intimate terms with the Sultan before he was acknowledged by the powers at a time when he could be approached with a facility now no longer possible. And I had many opportunities of forming an estimate of his character and abilities. As an instructive contrast, I was also brought into contact with Abdulaziz during the closing months of his troubled reign. Y'all know who this is? This is Sultan Abdulaziz. Circle 7. That's Sultan Abdulaziz. Abdulaziz Ibn Sawad. Circle 7. All right now. So that's Abdulaziz. Keep that in mind. I was also brought into contact with Abdulaziz during the closing months of his troubled reign. My main object in writing this book is to show how the Sherifian Empire is gradually losing its independence and passing into the limbo of European dependency. The change is inevitable, for civilization cannot be held forever at bay. But all who are lovers of ancient dynasties which have fallen into decay will hope that the reformation may be brought about with as little change as possible in the customs and institutions of the Moorish people. Is my screen still sharing? It's not sharing. Why y'all didn't tell me my screen ain't sharing, y'all? Why y'all didn't tell me that my screen wasn't sharing? Why is my screen not sharing? Oh, man. The whole time, my screen wasn't sharing. That's why I keep my phone up, because y'all don't be y'all had to read all the stuff without letting me know, hey, man, you're not sharing the screen. Oh, y'all killing me. Oh, let's see. Where was I? Oh, my God. I've been reading all this without sharing the screen, and you all just didn't tell me. Okay. Ah, shoot. I didn't need to bring that up. Email. I lost my daggone train of thought now. Where am I? I got so many things pulled up. That ain't it.
Sultan Aziz. That's where you're at. Islam.
Yeah, Islam. I'm getting used to this computer. I'm so not used to it. But I can't believe that I was reading the whole thing without sharing the screen, and y'all didn't tell me. It's important for me to share the screen. It's like nothing more important than that. Y'all kill me, man. Yeah. I was watching another video, and from us. Okay, I got to pull up this internet. I don't know where the internet is. I don't know where the internet went. It just disappeared on me. It minimized, and now I can't find it. And I was on mute for about 5 minutes, and I remember that call. Nobody didn't say anything. Y'all sat there for 5 minutes with me on mute. Not to say, hey, we can't hear you. I couldn't believe it. Please, y'all, if you see something weird, just let me know. You know I'm trying to share the screen. All right, now I'm trying to find the screen. I apologize. Please be patient with me. Let me stop sharing and then try to see if I pull it up that way. Let me put it up that way, because I think sharing it is confusing me. Where is my internet? Oh, downloads. These are downloads. That's not my internet. Okay. Let me do this. I think I was on page 9. Okay. All right. We're back to it. Let me now I gotta pull up. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Thanks for your patience. Thanks for your patience. I'm coming. I found it. Y'all see the difference? There's a screen, there's a document on the screen. Just recently, there wasn't a document on the screen. I'm seeing it on my phone. That's why I keep my phone, because y'all don't work with me. Y'all just made me read this whole thing without sharing it. Okay, I wanted y'all to read this part right here, or see me. Moorish people. The Moorish people. Okay. Possible in the customs and institution of the Moorish people. To superficial observation, it may appear that Mullah el-Hafid is firmly established on the throne. Now that he has finally defeated and captured that arch disturber of the public peace, Buhamara, better known as the Rogu, not trying to spell R-O-G-U-I, but in reality, Mullah el-Hafid has only been able to achieve his triumph with the direct assistance of the French. And this debt he cannot repudiate in the future. Their military mission, which went to Fez in January of this year, has in some measure restored order out of chaos in this army, and has provided or trained gunners for his artillery. It was the possession of this arm which turned the scale in his favor. Financially, the Sultan is bound hand and foot and is entirely dependent upon Europe for his credit. At any time, the customs receipt collected by the state bank can be withheld from him, and this would mean the immediate paralyzing of the central government of the Moroccan. For at present, this is the only certain source of revenue in the country. Neither can the Sultan buy a single rifle for the use of his army unless the legation and Tangier jointly give their consent. Therefore, unless he acts strictly in conformity with the wishes of the powers, Mullah el-Hafid will have great difficulty in retaining his precarious throne. Europe has been horrified by the tortures and mutilations inflicted on the unfortunate followers of Bo Hamara, and the author of them is regarded as little better than a brutal savage of the type of the Dey of Algiers. Dey of Algiers, D-E-Y. So far we see D-E-Y, Dey, we see L. But this verdict, and this is written in 1910. Somebody else was around in 1910. Those who, like yourself, know him intimately do not believe Mullah el-Hafid to be a cruel man at heart. Such treatment as was meted out of the Rogis, I don't know what that means, what that says, R-O-G-U-I-S, followers cannot be condoned, but it is only fair to take into consideration certain facts which in the universal disgust excited by his actions are apt to be overlooked. Morocco is still in a state of primitive barbarism. The tribes can only be held in check by the dread which the power of a strong sultan inspires in their undisciplined mind, and is restoring ancient time honored punishments, put aside under the feeble sway of Abdulaziz. Mulay al-Hafid only acted strictly in conformity with the law of the Quran and with the custom of his most distinguished predecessors. The powers, remember the powers are the people, are the states, the Christian powers who have been, who were part of this, part of the multilateral treaties, Treaty of Madrid, Act of Algeciras. The powers have lodged their well-timed protest, and the Sultan has promised not to act again in a similar manner. All right.
You want to kick that guy?
I already did.
That's all.
Since this book went to press, I have witnessed yet another step in the gradual disintegration of the Sherifian Empire. Having been attached to the Spanish army at Melilla as Reuter's special correspondent, Spain has no legal right to the Beni Beaufort mines, for the consciousness were obtained from Bo Hamara, who had no power to dispose of them. The action of the Spanish government is also in direct contravention of the Act of Algeciras. Nevertheless, Spain has received the sanction of Europe to restore order amongst the rifts, whose natural hostility she provoked by acts totally opposed to the whole spirit of that international agreement. The rifts have fought for their independence with a heroic fortitude which has commanded the admiration of all observers. But even as I write these words, the guns of an army 40,000 strong are sounding the death knell of their liberty. No doubt, in the long run, the mass of the people will benefit by the change of government. I have to acknowledge my very great indebtedness to Colonel D.F. Lewis, CB, and he's just acknowledging whoever else. And that's the end of the preface, and it's a very it's a tale of the fall of the empire to the Spanish, not the Spanish, the European powers. Let me go to, so you see here, let's look at the table of contents. Let's see what we see, right? The Moor as a soldier, that's on page 141. Right, Morocco and the powers. If we were to just examine some of these titles in the table of content, you'll be like for example, let me see. The future of Morocco. Right here, these are illustrations. So the Sultan Abdulaziz, they keep talking about the Sultan Abdulaziz and Mulay al-Hafid. But down here, you see here, Moorish troops marching to parade grounds. And then Moorish troops marching to parade grounds. Two different pictures, but you can't see the pictures. It's black and white and it's like totally blacked out. So you really can't see it. But what I will show you is something fascinating. So we're gonna skim through this document a little bit. Let's get to it. I want to get to a certain page. Now, I'm pretty sure it's all over the page, but I was looking for something and I came up, what was that I just see? And I just happened to come across some stuff because I haven't read the book. If you just skim, you see things. But I'm gonna go straight to what I seen. that made me go, are you serious right now? So the first one that I seen was on page 311, which is dealing with us. It's our names, our national name, our free national name. I went too far. 311. It starts at 311. And then we're just going to skim through these little statements. They're small little statements that are being made. About us. Just to make a point clear. Keeping in mind that this book came out in 1910. And there's no way that this guy knows all this stuff, and Prophet Nobuju Ali didn't know any of this. So you just, by just scanning the document, you'll see things. But there's two words that stick out the most when I look at documents. Okay, there goes one right there. Fortunately, we were wearing Moorish dress and the long, loose, flowing robes with the two hoods turned over the head kept the sun off the back of our necks and saved us from sunstroke. Assisted by large green umbrellas, which are carried by the better class Moors. 1910. What he said in 1130, what did he say in 311 about Moors? Why did I jot that down? Let's see. I think it says we could only drink, which made matters worse. I think this was the hottest day I have known, and even the Moors, accustomed as they are to the climate, collapsed under it, and the unfortunate mules lay down, too weary even to gaze or graze. So there goes another Moor reference. And there's so many of them. I just touched a few. Check this one out. It starts up here. Fortunately, most of our baggage had not been unpacked and could not be blown away. Before lying down and sleep, we had taken off all our clothes except our baggy Moorish trousers. Right? So you didn't take that off. Okay. You kept that on, huh? You kept the Moorish baggy trousers on. All right. That's cool. I appreciate that. What they said in 13. What they said in 313. Oh, look at this. The tents were scattered over the countryside or half buried in mud and sand. And the Moorish warriors, so picturesque and resplendent in their long flowing robes, half an hour before. Their long flowing robes. This is how they, look at them. These are the things that this is how they were thinking about us. Like, this is how they was talking about us, and they still think about us like this. But in today's age, the respect has been lost because we don't do any of these things no more. Let me see what's over here. What they said over here about Moors. Okay, you see Moorish something. What is Moorish Kashba? But we preferred to risk the hostile. Okay, let me go back a little bit. We unloaded the mules outside, but the Qaid declared we must come inside as the night-boring villages were very hostile to him. And he had lost 2 men killed in an affray a few nights before. But we preferred to risk the hostility of the Moors to the bites of the fleas and insects of the interior of a Moorish Kashba. I don't know what a Kashba is, right? This is what they said. What else they said about Moors on this page right here, down here? They said this was of a simple character and consisted of some soup made from soup tablets, an indifferent omelet, and a stew of chicken and rice made by the Moors. I'm just saying. Okay, so even here he says, I got up to find out who it was and saw the miserable Jew surrounded by our Moorish servants. So he had Moorish servants even. And a few recruits from the village, and they busily engaged in the old time honored pastime of Jew baiting. The other Moors gathered round in a circle and were rolling him over, pulling his clothes off, pinching him roaring with laughter and crying out the whole time, or crying out the whole time. Yehudi, Yehudi, which means you Jew, you Jew. Or word, damn. So okay, obviously everything is out of context. I'm just touching the fact that they're using they know who we are. They're using our likeness here to make this, to write this book and make it official. I mean, it was written in 1910 and we're dealing with Morocco. And if you're dealing with Morocco, then you're dealing with Moors. So this book is showing and proving. That's all you see here is Moorish this, Moorish that. They're talking about our slippers. They're talking about our trousers. What's the next page? Let's go to 328. Let me see what I highlighted on 328. What's in 328? Abdulaziz right there. See the Sultan. I suggest we read this book. Anybody who got the time. Okay, so right here. Okay, more. So it says, J-Man instructor was killed. In the midst of the frightful tumult, Abdulaziz, alone amongst the Moors, preserved his serenity and maintained to the end the dignity befitting a monarch in misfortune, right? Amongst the Moors. So characteristic of the marauding tendencies of the Moorish people. All right, like, that's, if you don't see the point, this is what I'm doing. I'm just touching 330s. So you got 328, and these are just different pages on this book. Just sniffing through it, I came across these things. Let me see, 336. There's more, or there's way more, but I'm just touching on the basis. 336. What did they say about Moors in 330? When the weather is fine and the roads in good condition, what can be more pleasant than a journey in the land of the Moors? When the weather is fine and the roads in good condition, what can be more pleasant than a journey in the land of the Moors? I didn't say this. This is the white man talking. Let's see. Page 338. What's in 3? Every Moor you meet on the road stops to salute you and to ask the usual question. Where are you from? Where are you going? What is your country? What is your business? Moors be checking them. That's what I'm... Every Moor you meet on the road stops to salute you and to ask the usual question. You're just questioning, you on my land, what's your business here? That sounds about right. That's how Moors are supposed to be behaving, you know? And if you don't think you're from here though, what he said here, 338, what did we say here? What did we say here? Something, let me go back to the top. The first journey should be from Tangier to Fez. Fez is a city of such historical interest. Its citizens are so exclusive and proud of their origin, and the social life of the capital is so typical of all that is best and most refined in Arab life and culture that a visit to the capital is essential to a proper understanding and appreciation of the feeling of the mass of the Moors of today towards the threatened breakup of the Moorish Empire. As in page, it's on page 338. All right. Let me see, what's on 351? I got something for 351. 351 saying something. But do y'all see the point that I'm making with me going over these different subjects, or these little, just skimming through like this? And he was pleased to find a quarter in his new city for the 8,000 refugees who had fled from Cordoba, and thus many of the Moors of Fez are really of Iberian origin. Cordoba, that was the Iberian Peninsula, right? When we were expelled, I should say, expelled we were expelled, and Boabdil gave up the keys to the empire, to the last stronghold in Alhambra, Cordoba. Where did we go? Morocco, North Africa. That Morocco. But Christopher Columbus sailed to the farthest west, Al-Maghrib al-Aqsa, Morocco of the farthest west. So I'm gonna stop at two more pages, 351 and 352. Somebody done came back in with some bull. Somebody done came back in with some BS, some of these troglodytes. 351. You got more troglodytes messing around? I'm gonna go straight to 351. This is the Moorish parade.
Excuse me, sir. What are we doing?
Yeah, we got another.
Facts.
No, I'm just asking, what are we doing? Can you understand me?
Yeah, he's out here. Okay, so this is the Moorish parade that they were talking about, but you can't really see it. So here's 351. So they're talking about khaki coats. So here it goes. Down here. Some are proud possessors of boots, others only of shoes, others of Moorish slippers. I know this might seem petty, but it's not. The Moorish army is drilled under extreme difficulty, and it's the Moorish army. Like, when have you ever heard the term Moorish army? I've never heard the term Moorish army, but this guy's definitely speaking on it in this book. 352, the final one, Moorish army again. See, look at that. Moorish army lacks in efficiency. It certainly gains in picturesqueness, whatever that word is. And then here goes again, ranged alongside one of the walls of the courtyard in the artillery of the Moorish army, which consists of some old mountain guns dating from the time of Mulai Hassan. This is a must read. We've read all the J.A. Rogers books. You know, we've read all the books. That book that's now worth $8,000 off of it's not worth that. It cost that. The Golden Age of the Moors. The Golden Age of the Moors. And all these other books, but no one is talking about the passing of the Sherifian Empire. And in it, they're using all these terms, they're saying all these things. I'm done with my list that I just went through. But if I were to there go another parade, that's another Moorish parade. You see the rifles, but you can't really see it because it's a bad copy. But if you keep going through, you're gonna see you in it all throughout. All these things about you, your baggy trousers, Moorish army and Moorish warriors and Moorish slippers, and even down to Moorish servants. I think that's fascinating, and it definitely goes into the history of how the empire started falling. It's definitely during the time of the prophet, so therefore the prophet, there's no way the prophet didn't know it. So it's almost as if the prophet came at the right time. The prophet came in right when the empire was fractured or breaking down and just losing all its power. That's when the prophet came in. The prophet came in right on time, like perfectly on time. And also Muhammad V, which is now the king of Morocco in Africa as of 1956. Remember, he left the seat. So in doing so, the empire was vacated, right? The empire was vacated, but the seat is still there for us to take our seat. So what I'm saying is he got out the way. Because first of all, Muhammad V is by that time, they're light-skinned Arabs. All of them in the 1900s are light-skinned Arabs. So they have, so that Muhammad V, which was the last sultan, reduced himself to become the king of Morocco, leaving the empire wide open for who? The Aboriginal, indigenous, autochthonous, dark skin, and not just dark skin, Moors or Moroccans. The Europeans, they're not imposters. They're not stealing our identity. They are the Americans. They don't claim nothing but America. We think that America's, no, we're the ones we are the imposters. We are the ones that's trying to steal that identity. We're not Americans. They are the Americans. The people who are stealing our identity are the Moroccans over there. The Arab, light-skinned Arab types. They're the ones who are stealing our identity because they are not the Moroccans. We are the Moroccans. We have to keep that in mind. And obviously the French Protectorate deals with the protections of Moorish subjects, Moorish proteges, Muslim subjects, right? And then also we learned that, and it was reinforced by the Secretary of State of the United States in conversation with the French ambassador, when he himself said the Sherifian government is who gives permission for the colonizers or any foreigner to have property. And at closing, before the title or deed is transferred, the Qadi must satisfy himself of that sale that is in conformity with Moroccan law. So what are we waiting on? What else are we doing? A good brother of mine established yet another temple. How many more temples do we need? I was like, is your temple a 501c3? He was like, no, it's an 805. Oh, okay, great. Still under the United States. How many more temples do we need? For those who claim that the temple is a state government, I've already proved in Act 5 that it's not. And I'm about to prove it again. In the Circle 7, page 67, chapter, I don't know how to say that particular Roman numeral, which is XL. What's XL? And then 7, V11. Egypt, the capital empire of the Dominion of Africa. Actually, that's the final chapter. The end of time and the fulfilling of the prophecies. Paragraph 4. For all of you who are under this strange impression that the temple is a state government. Let's see what Prophet Muhammad Ali said about the temple on paragraph 4. Shall we? The Moorish Science Temple of America is a lawfully chartered and incorporated organization. There's nothing else to talk about. I don't have to read anything else. What else is there to read? I mean, I could read more. Okay, fine. I'll read more. Because they're going to say, oh, you're taking it out of context. Okay, let me finish it. Let me finish that paragraph. The Moorish Science Temple of America is a lawfully chartered and incorporated organization. Any subordinate temple that desires to receive a charter, the Prophet has them to issue to every state throughout the United States. Okay, I finished the whole statement. And it says, the Moorish Science Temple of America is a lawfully chartered and incorporated organization. I didn't say that. We are trying to uplift fallen humanity. Come and link yourselves with the family of nations. How do you link yourself to the family of nations? Because when you're talking about the family of nations, these families of nations, they have governments. So how are you going to link with them? You can't link with them through no temple. You got to link with them through states. Anyway, that concludes the class. And if there's any questions, the floor is open. Let's ask our questions and make comments and statements. I'm all ears. And if not, then we'll shut it down. But I'm disappointed.
Yeah.
Help me out.
Excellent class, brother. Excellent class.
Oh, Islam. I'm thankful for that.
Ashe, you was on point tonight, brother. I second that motion, that emotion.
I appreciate that, good brothers. Islam. I just, you know, there was a period in which the document wasn't showing, and I'm just reading it out, but no one is following along with me because the document is. I need the document to be up. But in many times, I'm so focused on the reading that I'm not focused on what's on the screen. And I don't understand. It's absolutely beyond me why nobody didn't say, brother, the team, you don't have. So for future reference, please, if y'all ever, whenever I'm reading something, 9 times out of 10, I'm reading a document that needs to be showed on the screen so that everybody can see it, so that everybody can read along with it. I'm trying to share the knowledge and share the reference points, and I need y'all to keep me on point just in case.
No doubt, I got that next time. No doubt. That have none again. Yeah. Regards to the treaty then. So when we started constructing, as you stated, that the treaties now are going to be used exclusively without, or used primarily without using their codes and case law.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the treaty is what the treaty is. Since the treaty is supreme law of the land, then treaty, as you stated in that French, that I guess was the court case where France took back control or became the protectorate of the Moroccan Empire, and they used the treaty to demonstrate that this is that was the rule of law, and that's what governed everything. So, I mean, even these phony traffic stops or anything like that under 2021-4, I think 6 articles 4 and 5, I believe, as well. They pretty much spell out that if we had no one was harmed, and we didn't break treaty. And next thing too is if with these states of and state of and whatever call themselves, since they can't make treaties, then really and truly they have no standard in law to even to bring up a court case. Is that about accurate?
Well, no. Yes and no. We're not even supposed to be in their courts.
It's a consul. Yeah.
Yeah. Any dispute goes through consular court. Right, and the consular court makes the final decision on the matter. Obviously, in our infant stages growing, that's not gonna be an easy task. It's not gonna be a lay down, right? No. They're gonna want to basically stall us out. They want us to implode. And they want to see how good our pen game is. They want to know if we know the next few steps. So they're gonna put trick. They got some tricks for us because they're experienced. They got the experience in dealing with these matters. We don't. We're coming off of we have the history of it, but we don't have the current experience. And so this is where study comes in, right? So that we can understand all the processes, so we know which way to go and what's the next step to take. In accordance with the pen, because it's all dealing with the pen. So you know, and so what's the next step? Do you know how to petition the ICJ? Do you know how to petition the United Nations? You know, that type of thing. So, but yeah, at the end of the day, as it relates to the treaty provisions, and as it relates to international law, consular court is the supreme court of the land, and all disputes are to be settled in consular court.
Islam. I got one thing. Sorry, just one thing. Something to say in regards to their structure. Are you aware of the post-civic orders to President Obama from 2014, where he canceled all?
Multi-proprio?
Yeah, multi-proprio, correct.
Yeah.
What I'm finding out, what I know now, is that when you do a EIN search for all these so-called municipal corporations, which are now municipal corporations de facto, under their Black's law, they have no EINs, they have no charters, and they don't pay taxes, which not supposed to be governmental entities, and as such, they're supposed to get a charitable organization file Form 990. I think I said before, and none of them have that. So in essence, they don't even have the authority to even act in any kind of capacity under any government cloak. That doesn't exist. So I guess my question goes to that issue is, like you stated, you get to petition the ICJ or the UN, because if you're dealing with a corporation that has no authority, they have no charter, they have no ability to even be a government, nor should even listen to them, period. So how does one interact with an entity that really has no standing? They never did before, but now they really don't. As far as commerce goes, they have no ability to even engage in commerce, since all contracts are commerce.
Right. Well, okay. So the United States of America and the United States are two separate entities.
Correct.
Right. So domestically, within their jurisdiction, we as Moors, we know them as a corporation based on the Act of Congress of 1871.
Mm-hmm.
Right. They become a corporation. However, the United States of America is that's the de jure aspect. That's the republic. That name, that government exists in name. How is that? Through the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, through the treaties, right? Likewise, so is Morocco, the Empire of Morocco. The Empire of Morocco and the United States of America have the same status. They're both buried in a shallow grave. And right now, the United States is operating under the authority and the sovereignty of the United States of America. AMPAG, ante Colorado, AMPAG, ante Georgia, and New Mecca, we are operating under the sovereignty, the pre-existing sovereignty and authority of the Empire of Morocco. So the United States is able to do what they're able to do. One, because they're under the authority of the de jure United States of America. Two, remember I told you earlier that domestically they're known as a corporation. That's not what they're known as internationally. Internationally, they're known as an international organization.
Yep.
Yeah, and they're operating under the authority of the United States of America, the de jure party, the de jure state that's party to the contract. The United States is not party to the contract. And you're absolutely right. They don't really have the authority. That's why when a Moorish state government comes online under the utilizing or taking the process of following the instructions of international law and treaty protections and such, automatically gain the authority over the United States. So AMPAG, not only do we, like, the state of Georgia, that ain't even, that's
dead, been dead.
That's dead. Where our counter, okay, that guy that you call Governor Kemp,
he's doing business as?
He's absolutely beneath me. My counterpart would be Joe Biden. The wazir from AMPAG, his counterpart is Joe Biden. The wazir from New Mecca, his counterpart is Joe Biden. The state of whatever is nothing, because they have absolutely no, they're aliens. What's missing with them is a registration. What registration? They're supposed to register their corporation with our Moorish states. The same way you would register with the Secretary of State to get your LLC. Well, they must register with our state to get their authority to operate here. Otherwise, they're totally aliens.
Actually, they don't even have that right now. Even that's gone to register. Even with the state secretary of state to check for any of those places, there's nothing on file. They're all not existent.
And I know what the new thing is, and that's why, it was timely for us to establish the state government. I'm not what we got, we got to get out of the mindset of whatever the hell it is that they're doing. We don't care what they're doing. You know, I don't care what's vacant, what's now, I don't care what's there, what's now. All I care about is where's the taxes?
Yeah.
Treaty of Peace and Friendship. Adhere to these provisions if you want to stay here. And by the way, we do want you to stay here. Why? Because they came here for a reason. They're the worker bees. Who else gonna do all this work? Y'all need to do all. Y'all can stay. You just got to pay your rent and pay your taxes. So I'm not concerned. We shouldn't be concerned about anything. We shouldn't be concerned about slavery. We shouldn't be concerned of nothing that they've done to us, because it's nothing in comparison to what we have done to them for even a longer period of time, and even more cruel.
Yeah. Yep.
Going all the way back to the creation. So, okay, we're even. We enslaved you, you enslaved us. You enslaved us. All right, we're even. Let's let bygones be bygones. Where's your rent money? Where's your rent money? You know? So I hope I answered your question, good brother.
Yeah, definitely, big brother. Definitely. That's because that's the thing right there. A lot of people like, I guess, having that idea. What do we do with these people, especially when they come after you with these sidearms that they're not supposed to be carrying? So establishing the government and getting rid of them, putting them back in their place is where it counts. What force to go after them, to put them back in that bottle, so to speak.
Exactly. And you do it through the treaty provisions. We gotta. I mean, it's like if you're a tenant and your landlord does not fix the toilet, then you can uphold, you can enforce the provisions in that contract through who? The courts. You can take them to court. They're gonna ask, who are the parties? You are. If you're on the contract, then you're a party. If he's on the contract, then he's a party. So you have you can enforce that contract on him for what he's not doing, which is okay. He never comes in to fix the toilet. Conversely, he can enforce that contract on you for not paying rent or whatever else you might be doing. It's just a contract.
All contract, commerce.
It's a contract game, and all the parties must be known. That's why it's hard for you to stand on the square of you being a Moorish American, because the Treaty of Peace and Friendship is a contract, and there's two parties in that contract, America and Morocco. So if you say you're a Moorish American,
you're not party to the contract.
You're fraud. First of all, you're taking both sides of the contract. That's fraud. But then even worse, domestically, you're stuck in the middle. You're in limbo. You're riding the fence. You got to either choose America or choose Morocco.
Can't be both.
Can't be both. And that's what it tells you in Article 15 of the Treaty of Madrid. Any subject of Morocco who has been naturalized in a foreign country must choose between the entire submission of the laws of the empire. And if you don't do that, then the laws of the country shall be imposed upon you without any restrictions.
So we stick straight to being more. Then it's either I'm Moroccan, I'm Moor, I'm Moroccan, no American in that claim. Indigenous, that'd be indigenous or autochthonous.
Moroccans,
and leave it as such.
We're Aboriginal, indigenous, autochthonous Moroccans. Morocco is the flag, according to the prophet, the flag been flying over here longer than 10,000 years. You're talking about 10,000 years, you're talking about ancient. That's not modern. America is modern. Morocco is ancient. 10,000 years before the great earthquake that caused the Atlantic Ocean. I don't understand these Moors, why they keep on with this Moorish American thing. There's some book out there that says that they're Moorish American, and I'm like, okay, I'm glad to see that in the book, but show me in the treaty. Show me in the supreme law of the land that says that you're Moorish American. If you do that, then okay, I'm right back to it, because I surely was a proud Moorish American, but that it's not in no treaty. And like I said, treaties are contracts, and the parties must be known. Period. I can't jump in on the treaty between France and Spain, and start holding them accountable. For one, I would have to accede to the treaty, meaning sign up to the treaty, become a signatory power along with them. But even then, you know, I don't have any dealings with either of those states. But any treaty with Morocco, oh, we can join forward. We can accede to those treaties, and any other signatory power that is signed up as one of the signatory powers or contracting parties of that contract, they can be held account. They can be held obligated to the provisions as well. So France can be held accountable. Great Britain, well, by 1937, all the Christian powers relinquished their criminal and their extraterritorial jurisdiction in Morocco. The only Christian power that's holding on to it is the United States. Why is that? Because France can go back to France. Spain can go back to Spain. Germany can go back to Germany. Great Britain can go back to Great Britain. Russia can go back to Russia. Netherlands can go back to the Netherlands. Where the hell is the United States gonna go? They don't have nowhere to go. They're bound to the Moors. So we just gotta take it to the next level and hold them accountable. It's changing, trading places. We gotta trade the places. We gotta trade the places right back. Because they traded places with us. We was the ones that was running everything. We had the whole system already in place. They came in, traded places with us. Well, put us in a shallow grave. They are now running things. So now we got to come up out of this shallow grave, Hiram Abiff. We got to come up out of this shallow grave and trade places with them all over again and put them back in their lane and take back the system as it's supposed to be. That's the goal.
Islam.
I self-law and master, good brother. Who else got something? Anybody else got anything? I seen somebody had something in the chat.
What's the name of that book that you was reading from?
The Sherifian, the passing of the Sherifian Empire.
Okay.
I think I emailed that to you. But I'll email it again. Anyone who's interested in that book, it's actually free. I can just email it to you. All the nationals of AMPAG, I put it in the chat for everybody a couple months ago. Not actually a couple weeks ago. But if anyone that wants it, just let me know and I'll send it to you. Or you can Google it. It comes right up. If you type in Sherrifian Empire, just type in Sherrifian Empire. That's how I came across it. I was like, what is it? I keep hearing this. That's all I kept reading, Sherrifian Empire. And I just wanted to see what would come up when you look up Sherrifian Empire. I just looked up Sherifian, and lo and behold, boom, the passing of the Sherrifian Empire came up. And I was fascinated by the title, because it's literally saying the death of the Moors. That's literally what it's saying. The death of the Moors and their governments. And so I thought it was germane to discuss it because it deals with France. On Wednesdays, we're discussing France versus United States. And so I thought it was germane for the current topic of discussion, which seems to be the French and the Protectorate. That's why I went over the Treaty of Fez. So when we go back on Wednesday and continue the reading for the France versus United States, more things will start making even more sense. I probably should have did this first before going into the case, but it's fine. It will all serve its purpose, and it will all come together in your minds as you continue coming to the classes. Because a lot of the stuff that's being reaffirmed by the ICJ judges in that case, the colonizer, the Albayan Secretary of State, reaffirmed it in his conversation with the ambassador of France. I just read over some of that. You know, so it's like this big puzzle that just fits together, and France is a big part of it. Very big part of it. And they owe us, and they're obligated to us. Keeping in mind, I know the Treaty of Fez has been dissolved, which is cool because no longer do they have jurisdiction over our Moxin, right? Our state governments. But there's still signatory powers in the Act of Algeciras, and there's still signatory powers in the Treaty of Madrid, amongst others. So France can be held accountable, or, you know, not accountable, but obligated to support and assist us in our, as we go through our varying stages of advancement as a young upcoming nation. They have to assist us. They're obligated to assist us in getting to the higher levels of our governance. Morocco is the country, Morocco, the kingdom. They're obligated. Germany is obligated. Great Britain is obligated. All of them are obligated. But they ain't got to do nothing for Negroes or individual Moorish Americans. They can only do things and operate on behalf of nationals of a competent Moorish state whose constitution has been ratified, deposited, and promulgated in accordance with international law.
Islam.
Islam.
Brother Wazir, Islam, Moors, Islam.
Islam.
It's Brother M. I knew it. How you doing, brother?
Hey, good brother. What's going on?
Yes, sir. I was thinking about the lot of subliminal energies and messages between you saying the French. And if you look at Wonder Woman, they had the guy, he was a protectorate of Wonder Woman, they were supposed to be in, you know, they're in character, so they're in representation. So during the whole entire event of him protecting Wonder Woman, he has a fez on. And he's representing the French. He's representing France as a protectorate. So they expose it in the treaties. They expose the information in a lot of movies. You know, in all the movies, it's almost like public notice.
I didn't. Is that in the latest Wonder Woman joint?
It was the one. It could have been not the last one, but the one before that.
That's something to keep an eye on.
It's the same guy who plays the French. He's also the guy that plays the Moroccan. He plays the Sultan in John Wick.
I know you're talking about the first Wonder Woman. The first Wonder Woman.
It's the same guy. Every movie he plays the Moor. He plays the man with the fez.
You're right.
You're right. You saw John Wick 3. You seen how he got that contract off his head.
But that's the same. The guy who's playing the one is Sultan, the Sheik. He's the same guy.
Wow. Huh. Might be something to that.
But yeah, I just thought I'd bring that up. I know it's
no, that's right on time, good brother. I appreciate that. Now I didn't even, but they put it in the movies, they put it in the books, they put it everywhere. They make references like that in the what's that movie with Angelina Jolie, that cartoon, Maleficent or something?
Yeah, Maleficent, yeah. And Kingsman is another one. Kingsman, the new Kingsman movie.
I've not seen the new one, but the old one gives you some jewels.
Now this the guy, he sits there and he tells him, he said, my people are not noble. We killed the nobleman. And then he glances and trances out, and then they show all the more with turbans and fezzes on, and them destroying our empires, and we going to war with them.
Wow.
Right in your face.
Wow.
But excellent class, brother. Islam, brother, excellent class.
I appreciate that so much. I hope you get I hope I got a good clean copy I can put on Facebook, not on Facebook, on YouTube. We'll see. We got a couple of interruptions with these weird little troglodytes, but it's okay.
Yeah, I was listening. I kind of did a different breathing energy out there to shut that down.
So it's all right. You know, I think that it's it shows the fear, like your brother Marius. Did I say it right, good brother? I hope I did. Like Marius pointed out, it shows the fear. Joel, go ahead, brother. You got your hands up. You ain't got to put your hands up.
No problem, but let's give people respect so to get their questions answered.
Sure.
Okay, in regards, so when you stated how the AMPAG, the government AMPAG, that you recognize most nations as the government, as this established government for the Moroccan Empire. Is that accurate?
Repeat that question again. Say it one more time.
AMPAG.
Yeah,
I'm saying correct.
Yeah,
they are recognized amongst the nations as far as being a government. Government. And where can I find that?
They had no. We're not. AMPAG, New Mecca, or AMPAG is not recognized by the nations of the earth. Or
as yet.
Well, how do I put this? I say it like this: all 193 member states know of AMPAG, and New Mecca. We're on the record internationally. But in terms of, oh, we recognize them, applause, here's a letter, we're not really going to get that. And we're not even looking for that. Our recognition comes from our own states. AMPAG and New Mecca sent us recognition letters, and we sent them recognition letters. And at the end of the day, they don't have a choice but to recognize us anyway. They're just not gonna verbally, say, oh, AMPAG, we recognize AMPAG. No, they probably won't do that. And we're not necessarily even looking for that. But we know that our recognition is based on what they do recognize is the Empire of Morocco. And they also recognize that the Empire of Morocco is still alive. It's just void of a government. That they definitely recognize that. So when we come in, let me share my screen. Let me show you guys something real quick.
That's Safari you're using?
Chrome.
Chrome?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So you see here. So, all right. When you establish your government and you ratify your constitution and deposit it, and what you're doing is you're depositing it with the United Nations. And then the United Nations in turn would transmit it through the diplomatic channels to all other 193 nation states. Okay. And so what is contained within the documents that we put on the record with these nations through the United Nations, and directly to the United States, as well as the state of the charter colony known as Georgia, because all three of those entities received our document. The United States received it, and the United States of America. The state of Georgia received it, and the Secretary of the United Nations received it. Our state flag, the Moorish flag, our seal, our constitution ratified, oath of allegiance, a link to our inauguration, and a declaration of independence or declaration of statehood cover letter that goes as a whole package. That's what's considered the facts of your state, the state of facts of your state, right? On paper, in paper format. What you're looking at is the digital format. So right here, which by the way, the good brother Hakeem Bey of HakeemBey.com put this together for us. Check him out. He's an excellent digital artist. So you'll see up here our seal. You see our inauguration. And then further information about AMPAG. You'll see our 3 branches of government. Disregard these 2 sisters here. They're no longer with us. This is during the inauguration. These are the 3 branches of government: legislative branch, executive branch, judicial branch. This is further information in regard to our our titles from the Rudder and Sextant, which is also narrated here by the good brother Hakeem Bey on his YouTube channel. All events, this is where you would find all the calls, all the classes. And then just basically further information that I put this stuff on here to inform the people of who we are. Okay, so, and then now if we were to go to, like, let's say any of these, maybe not this one. I just clicked on the nationalization. Okay, that's fine. You'll see the Moorish flag here and our state flag there. So just in this page alone, you'll see the seal, the flag, and both flags. This is the nationalize button where you'll fill out your application, right? And then you'll see our state flag again with the Moorish flag behind it. So what I'm saying to you all, this is the state ID. And then when you go on that page, you still see the Moorish flag, you see the state flag. This is a rendition of a design of our flag, which was state ID, which was designed by the good brother Hakeem Bey as well. This is what it would look like with a third flag, which represents your tribal affiliation. If you're a Cherokee, you can put your Cherokee flag on there. So you'll have your empire flag on the far left, your state flag, and then your tribal flag in the correct order as it relates to law. Because the East state flag would always take the dominant side, which is the far left. And then the subordinate side is always to the far right. So then here you'll come and you'll see you're a government official of some sort. You're from China or something. Okay, well, there's the Constitution, the law of Sankofa. You can go over our Constitution, ratify, promulgate it, and deposit it, or you can download it and take it to your house. Our laws, we've got legislation, right? We've got some, they're pending. They're all written up. We need to, before we post it, we have to go through the process correctly. And we skipped a couple of boxes in the process of enacting our laws. So that held us back just a couple of days. That's nothing, most of which has already been fixed. And Brother Hakeem, you'll be receiving the no mandate for Moroccan national legislation so you can load it up. So what I'm trying to say to everybody is that, or to you, good brother, is that we act as if we are supposed to continue. We're supposed to act. We're not supposed to act based on their recognition. We act based on our own recognition that we are legit, that we are de jure, that we are organic, and that we did check the proper boxes in order to establish our full powers in international law as a de jure sovereign state. That type of, in doing so, that process does not require the recognition of any other state. As a matter of fact, the Montevideo Convention, I think Article 3 says that no state requires the recognition of another state in order for it to be a state. You see?
Just the people have to come together and
just the people got to come together and make it happen and do things the right way. So like one of the other things that we've done that's key in our Constitution, you'll find this right here, dominions. So under what's called uti possidetis juris, we have reclaimed the borderline of Georgia, so-called Georgia, which is actually ancient Moorish lands, through our longitude and latitude of the territory, taking it over as is. Okay, so prior to their arrival, there was no borderlines. Now that they're in existence, there are borderlines. Therefore, we have to take it back as is with the borderlines. And we have to identify the borderlines based on a survey that was already conducted, which gives you the latitude and longitude. So the dominions for the Allodium, Moorish, Palladium, Ante, Georgia include all land, air, and waterways. That's law, right? Acronym for law. Within latitude 30.5 degrees north to 34.9 degrees north, by longitude 80.8 degrees west to 85.6 degrees west. That's the whole map of Georgia. In doing so, that those borders have become international borders. This is the reason why what's his name? Brian Kemp he's not on my level. Joe Biden is, because Joe Biden deals internationally through the United States. So me as the prime minister, I would operate internationally as it relates to AMPAG. Our Sayaraha, the Speaker of the House, her equivalent is Nancy Pelosi. The Chief Judge of Consular Courts equivalent is the Chief Judge of Supreme Court, the Supreme Judge. Our Consul General is equivalent to the Attorney General of the United States. So these people that's pretending to be state of whatever, they have no jurisdiction, no authority, no nothing when it comes to a more state government, especially if it's done in this way through uti possidetis juris, which is taking over the land, the territory based on the longitude, latitude of your permanent dominions. I hope I answered your question. I know it was a long, drawn out question, but I thought it would be great for me to show you how the website works as it relates to it being a digital format of the state of facts of your state.
No, I got it. Appreciate that. Thanks so much, brother.
There's an obvious, no problem. Looks like it's 10:41. One more question and we're shutting it down. I know we got Job tomorrow.
Islam. It's not necessarily a question. I just wanted to remind you to be sure to edit the video to remove any profane content that was in one of the agent's background.
Yeah, with these little crazy little troglodytes. Oh, God. They done messed it all up. So now I got to figure it out because I don't know how to edit. I don't even edit. I just load up. But this one, I got it.
Well, if you want, you can send at least that portion of the video to me, and I can crop that out and send the MP4 back to you.
Okay, we'll discuss that. Thank you, good brother. I appreciate it. That's my man's in them. Islam. Hakeem, that's my man's in them. All right.
I have a suggestion.
Yes.
We instill a online library so that literature, like the one that you shared tonight, the book that you referenced, we can have it on our online site. I know a lot of myself and some of the other nationals have been wanting to have an online library. So now that we have the site up and running, it might be a good idea to host those things there.
I think it's a good idea. I think that's a great idea. Last but not least, I want to show you all, anyone who might be interested in reading a treaty and where do I get the treaties from? Come to our website, click on laws, click on treaties, and it brings you right up to the treaties. It gives you some definition for some erudition. What is treaty? What is ascension? What is a seed? What is charter, contract, etc.? And as you continue scrolling, you'll see all the links. So the Treaty of Peace and Friendship of Morocco, 1786, Treaty of Peace and Amity of Algeria, Treaty of Peace and Friendship, Tunis, all these different treaties of peace, Treaty of Madrid, Right of Protection in Morocco, 1880, Act of Algeciras, International Labor Organization Constitution with 7 amendments, the Charter of the United Nations, Universal Declaration of Human Rights, Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of Crime of Genocide, et cetera, et cetera. So you'll just click on the link and it'll take you it'll take you straight to the treaty. There it is. You just go over it for your erudition. So that would be on our site under laws and then under treaties. And then also keep an eye out for this button here. Events, all events. And it shows you Wild Wednesday, next Wednesday, we'll be finishing up the reading for the treaty of, the case between France versus United States, part 3. And then next week, after the day, you'll see the other class for Sunday. You just click on it and then it'll take you to the other page for you to join. And when you click on there, it'll bring you right into the Zoom class. So that's an easy way for you to access our Zoom classes And it will always be at 7:30, whether it's on Sunday or Wednesday. And on Sundays, we deal with treaties. On Wednesdays, we deal with, it's whatever, it's called Wild Wednesday, whatever I come up with for the day. Currently, we're dealing with France versus United States. So we'll be on part 3 of that reading. Okay. All right. Well, this concludes the class. Everybody got to get up in the morning for their respective jobs. We got to respect that. And thank you all for joining the class. There's a few states coming online. We're also going to create a page. Well, Brother Hakeem, we would like to put another page up of current Moorish states or something like that. And let the world know that AMPAG and New Mecca exists, and then also those who are coming online, how they can be contacted with to assist them in getting the nationals that they need to establish their state governments. We're here to help as best as we can to help build our state governments, and keeping in mind that all this stuff is being done for free. We don't charge for anything. Why nationalize with AMPAG? AMPAG mocks and is poised with full powers under international law to enact laws and enforce said laws through consular court upon the foreign colonists for the protection of our state and the nationals thereof. Furthermore, AMPAG understands that birthrights and nationality are free, all caps, and that's how we operate. We operate free. The bigger charge is coming from economic liberty without any inequality, when we force the colonizers to start paying their rent according to the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. With that said, good brothers and sisters, divine mothers and sons, we'll see you on the next class Wednesday at 7:30.
Islam. Excellent class, bro.
Islam.
Islam here, man.
Islam. I've been on it for a while, man.
Islam, good brother. I appreciate it. You all have a wonderful night, and Hakeem, I'll have it to you so you can edit it, or at least show me how to do it, and we could just go like that. Okay?
Islam.
All right. Peace and love, everybody.
Peace and prosperity, brother.
Peace and prosperity, brother. Thank you.